The amount of resources you can farm on Ragnarok is just stupid. In this video I will show you farming methods that are so good they feel like cheating. Hello Dodo crew and welcome back for another video on Ark Survival Ascended. Grab a bottle of water and let's get straight into it. Farming element on Ragnarok is damn hard. Non-attack, the new Ice Wyvern boss, not only deals a lot of damage but can also take a lot of damage. Luckily, most of the artifacts on Ragnarok are quite easy to get, and you only have to manage the Gamma variant. If you want a video where I show you how to get all artifacts on Ragnarok easily, then write it in the comments. This gives you 100 element every time you complete it, which you can collect at the end of the fight in a small beacon which always spawns in the arena. How can you defeat non-attack now? Luckily, you have a large selection of creatures to choose from on Ragnarok. It doesn't matter if you use a horde of Deinosuchus, Bison, Rex, Spino or Ferricinos. All of these creatures can defeat non-attack on all difficulties with ease. The important thing is that you have to get a good saddle blueprint first and equip all your creatures with good saddles. On a side note, as of I'm editing this, I'm at about 5k subs. If you could subscribe to help me reaching my goal of 10k subs by the end of the year, I would greatly appreciate it. Ragnarok is a huge map with many locations, creatures and possibilities. As a result, there are often multiple spots to farm resources. The vast ocean of Ragnarok offers you the opportunity to farm metal with a donkey again. Across the ocean there are countless small metal fields, but sadly there are very few really good spots to farm underwater. In this small ruin there are countless rocks that you can farm with your donkey. In addition, there are a lot of crystals, obsidian, pearls and oil that you can take with you. The single best thing to do is simply build a small base underwater with a few vacuums. Farm with your donkey and then simply throw the metal into your vacuum. From your vacuum you can now take it away with either a Transi or a TP. If you don't have any vacuums and still want to farm a lot of metal, then get yourself a Karki and an Anki and go to the mountains between the desert and the tundra. In this mountain range, you will find an enormous amount of large and small metal rocks. With your Karki, you can simply throw your Anki along the slope and farm all the rocks. Simply level your Anki in damage, and for the Karki, it doesn't really matter what you level it into. Then simply take your Anki in one claw and throw it towards the rocks you want to farm. Just look down if you want to throw short and look up if you want to throw far. Then just click C on PC and swoosh. When your Anki is standing close to the rock, simply mount your Anki and then hit the rock. As long as your Karki can throw the Anki, you can continue farming. Just leave everything you farm in the Anki, because as soon as you take it out of your Anki and overload yourself, then you cannot move anymore and have to start all over again. If you want to know how to solo element veins and farm an insane amount of element, check out the linked video. You can farm a stupid amount of Polymer in the new Wyvern cave in the south of the map. The aberration Polymer plants have been added to several locations on the map and can now be farmed. Unfortunately, there are far too few plants in most places to be able to farm them efficiently. In the Wyvern cave, however, there are significantly more plants than in all the other locations. You can farm these plants with your hand, a sickle or even direbear. The easiest way is to get the Meguana from Astreas on Ragnarok, as it can easily farm Polymer and unlike the bear, it is very mobile. As an alternative, you can always farm Karkinos or a Mantis. Sadly, there are no really good spots to farm organic Polymer on Ragnarok. For this, you should always check out Aberration. Forget the island, Extinction and Aberration. I have never seen as many Silica Pearls in one place than on Ragnarok, and you can easily farm them with an angler without even encountering a single hostile creature. The easiest spot is the Silica Pearl cave in Vikings Bay. You can easily find it by diving down and looking for the Viking ship. Not only will you find a treasure chest underneath the Viking ship, which may contain a lot of loot, you will also find the entrance to one of the largest Silica Pearl spots in the entire game at the back of the Viking ship. The cave itself is a narrow tunnel with pearls laying around on all sides. The cave is unbelievably long and you're already black weighted after just a small section. If you still have to go further, you have to be a little careful at one point, as Carcinos can spawn in this cave and can pull you off your angler. This spot is very unknown, but the spot in the northeast of the map is hands down the best spot you can currently farm with an angler on any map. The first time I came to this spot and activated my tracker ability, my game just crashed because so many icons were loaded at the same time that my game just couldn't handle it anymore. Not only are there an infinite number of pearls, they are also incredibly easy to see, while not a single wild creature spawns in this region. For real, if the spot is not taken or spammed by someone, you have to farm at this location. There is currently no other spawn in the entire game where there are so many pearls. Luckily, you don't need that many black pearls, because they really aren't that easy to farm on Ragnarok. Not that you can't find them, they're super easy to find, but there just aren't any big clusters. Under the ship in Vikings Bay, you will always find 3 to 4 black pearl patches that you can farm by hand. In addition, many crabs spawn on the Viking ship, which you can also farm for black pearls. And you can always find some smaller groups in the deep sea, which you can take with you for a few quick black pearls. Farm rafts are hands down the best way to farm when you can use them. Rafts simply don't have a weight stat, so as long as you reach the resource, you can just keep farming with your creature. The best place to farm tons of stone is the river in the center of the desert. There are river rocks in this river, and if you place a raft in the river, you can easily farm the rocks with a rock golem. Sadly, the rock elemental farms a little less than the dirty, but the dirty just doesn't work in this region, because its hitbox is simply too small, which means it doesn't hit the rocks in the water. With a golem, however, you can easily reach the stones deep in the water, and because there are so many stones in most places, you'll be black weighted in just a few hits. The river in the desert is particularly suitable for farming with a raft, as it is deep enough that you can easily swim through with your raft and still reach all the stones with the golem. At the end, simply throw all your stones into a vault, grab your runio and fly your vault home. Overall, there are a few rivers on Ragnarok that are good to farm with rafts and golems, but the one in the desert is hands down the best. If you want to try hard, the raft in the desert is also big enough to take both with you and farm the big rocks with a dirty and the small ones with a rock golem. I don't really need to say much about Flint. There's currently only one valid Flint farmer, and that is the Fasolosukos. You can farm Flint super well in areas like the desert along the river, where there are lots of river rocks, or as an alternative in the mountains, where you can simply farm these stones from top to bottom with your Faso. It is best to start at the top and work your way down. If a Faso swims downwards, it becomes faster over time and can therefore farm more rocks in less time. Before we go any further, please do me a favor and like and subscribe. You need cementing paste? On Ragnarok, beaver dams, hands down. In the center of the map is a small lake with a river running through it. Along this river, not only small but also large beaver dams spawn, which give you a stupid amount of paste. A single large beaver dam can give you up to 10 slots of paste. Sadly, there are a lot of beavers there and the lake is a bit deep in some places, which makes it hard for you to loot the beaver dams. But it is worth the effort. Just grab your griffin or a wyvern, fly close to the dams, grab the paste and get straight back on your creature. If you want to be a troll, just leave the wood in the dam. As long as the dam isn't destroyed, no new one will spawn, which means that if a player comes after you, he won't find paste, but only wood. If you're a nice guy, you destroy the dams you have looted, so that players after you can get paste. It's your decision. Actually, already expected with the center, but now added with Ragnarok. The charcoal trees are back and can now be farmed. In the north of the map at the volcano, there are loads of charcoal trees that you can farm easily with a pickaxe for charcoal. Unlike normal trees, these produce charcoal, which saves you the effort of burning the wood and therefore saves you a lot of time. With a mantis and a good pickaxe, you can blackweight your mantis within a few hits. There is no special route, but It is best to look for a place at the top of the mountain where there are a lot of trees in one place, so that you can work your way from top to bottom. As mantis have only very little weight, it is best to take a vault and a rhino with you and always put the charcoal directly into the vault and carry it around with you. If you want to know how you can easily farm blueprints, loot, weapons and gear on Ragnarok, then watch the linked video. Chitin and Keratin are actually really easy to get on Ragnarok, and there are 3 methods that everyone can use. Especially if you already have a few good pump guns, pyromane or fur armor, you can simply go into the Ice Queen cave and use a chainsaw to farm the ice worms. There are some places where exactly 2 to 3 ice worms spawn every minute, which you can simply clear with a pump gun and then farm them with a chainsaw. In addition to small amounts of polymer and black pearls, ice worms give you a ton of hide and keratin. But in the end, you always have to defeat the Ice Queen too. Luckily, it's not that hard, and if you're well prepared, it's not a problem. Now that Karkinos are also spawning on Ragnarok, it is actually very easy to farm chitin and polymer. In the cave in the south of the map, you can simply kill the 2 to 3 Karkinos that spawn there every few minutes and then farm them with a chainsaw. If ice worms and Karkinos are still too hard or already farmed by others, you can still farm large amounts of keratin by farming the stranded basilosaurs in the north of the map with a chainsaw. These spawn along the entire length of the beach of the highlands, giving additional oil, hide and large amounts of spoiled meat, but more on that later. Overall, honey is no more difficult to find than on other maps. You can farm honey on Ragnarok only with bees, and for this you have to go into the redwood and search for beehives to destroy them and tame the bees. There are bee spawns in these 2 areas on the map. Once you have tamed a bee, you will need rare flowers. In the swamp in the west of the map, in the highlands, in the caves and in many other places, you will find lots of rare flowers which actually look like small blue flowers that you can use to feed beehives. You can farm cactus in the desert by simply grabbing a chainsaw and flying to the north of the desert to farm the cactus tree there. There is also the option to farm the small cacti by hand or with a Morellotops. Forget the redwood. If you're already in the desert, just take all the sap you need home with you. You can get sap by cutting down the small trees in the north of the desert with a chainsaw. The maps that have a desert and on which you can farm sap with a chainsaw are very nice, because farming sap in the redwood is just slow and a pain. And if you want to know the best way to get overpowered chainsaws and loot on Ragnarok, check out the linked video. Ragnarok has one farm where you can find and pick up crops such as Savoroot and Rockarrot. This farm is in the top right corner of the highlands and it can be found very early on. Especially in the early game, you can use the Rockarrot to tame a horse directly to make really fast progress early on and then rush into the redwood. It's best to look for this wall near the lighthouse to find the vegetables. And it's back to the raft, this time with a Ferricinosaurus, with which you can farm the trees in the swamp. Of course, a beaver farms more wood, but with a Ferricino you can easily farm all the trees in the swamp. The advantage of this method is that you can farm an infinite amount of resources on a raft and still keep moving. So forget farming the redwood trees, they give more wood, but you simply cannot carry it around. Simply place your Ferricino at the very front of your raft and swim with your raft through the swamp. Then simply transfer the wood to your vault and transport the wood to your base with a rhino. The route is very simple. It's best to start at the top or bottom and simply farm the whole swamp into your vault. It doesn't really matter which swamp you take. It works quite well in most of them. The important thing is that you can easily get through the swamp with your raft and that there are only a few stones in the way, as these can throw your Ferricino off the raft. Ovis are still the best and easiest way to farm large amounts of hide on most maps. These spawn in the highlands, where you can also find them relatively easy, as there are no carnivores there apart from a few gigas, and therefore the Ovis survive very easily. This means that it has never been easier to get a sheep than on Ragnarok, as sheeps with babies spawn here at literally any time and you simply have to claim the sheep. Then you get a chainsaw, level the sheep in health for the best yield and then you simply farm all the hide you need. We're back at the ice worms and the stranded bacillus, and you can farm huge amounts of hide there. I've already talked about it. It's not just keratin that you can get in large quantities there. You can also farm hide easily with the chainsaw at these spots. The best place to find plant species eggs is the swamp on the western side of the map and in the entrance of the jungle cave. There are plant eggs everywhere in this region and you can just go there and pick them up. But be careful, this region is quite small, the cave is kinda dangerous and there are a lot of dangerous creatures. Rare flowers can be farmed in the same region. The best way to do this is to simply farm the flowers with a Ferricino. These only give rare flowers and your Ferricino is slot capped with rare flowers after a short time, even at low rates. Plant species Y can be farmed from these fancy looking plants along the rivers in the desert. At the same time, these plants also drop silk. The best way to farm these plants is with a Ferricino and delicate harvesting. In the center of the desert, you can easily mine the yellow rocks with a mantis and a pickaxe to get sulfur. There are a few spots where a good handful of sulfur stones spawn. If you find a stone, then you can be sure that there will be a few more stones around you. If you want to farm on land, you can find obsidian in the north of the volcano. There, you can easily farm the black rocks along the lava with your Anki and a Carcinos. If you want to farm underwater, you have to farm the crack along the volcano with a Dunkleo in the north of the map. There you will find insane amounts of obsidian at the same time with metal, as obsidian rocks give large amounts of metal too. In the south of the map there are ruins of a small underwater city. There you can find metal, but also obsidian, crystal and oil, which you can easily farm with a Dunkleo. In general, the spot is quite good, as you can farm several resources in one place with a single creature. Last but not least, spoiled meat. Spoiled meat can be found in incredible quantities in the north of the map by farming the stranded Basilosaurus with a pickaxe or a chainsaw to easily farm narcotics in early game. I hope you liked this video and I'm thrilled to read if this video has helped you. Hit the like button, leave a comment below for the algorithm and consider subbing to the channel. Alright, Frodo.